I like being in my physical and spiritual together, and I feel like I couldn't do that in the club, and that's what I was trying to explain. Not that there's judgment of people that do that. I think it's sexy. I think it's hot. I can't do it, and it makes me think of this rabbi.
In that club, we were not all fam.
In the club.
In the club, we are fam.
I love that Antonia and I were like, there's a rabbi.
Get me home.
There's a story of this rabbi who was having a hard time. Like his wife complained that he wasn't having sex with her. And he was trying.
The wife is the one complaining? Usually it's the other way around.
Right?
Good.
And
Women are horny too.
Women are horny too.
Gay boys, I love you guys in the Abbey. Why don't they wear clothes? Women, we wear clothes. We wear extra clothes.
Sounds like it's such a Jewish judgmental.
Where?
Where?
The clothes.
I don't want to see
for
your
you-
nipples.
For me, I'm
Aren't
like,
you cold in there?
yeah. It's so funny because for you, it's about as long as you wear clothes, everything goes.
I sound like I'm 100.
I'm like, be naked.
You guys, you want to sing Azmira?
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, whatever you want.
What were you gonna say?
No, something just to get popping, to get, to warm our juices up. Okay, so while we're pulling it up, I will say I'm loving LA.
Really?
I've been here.
Oh, Zusha, what is Baruch Hashem? You know it, yeah. We're shuckling.
This is
She's
your
not
music.
ready. Melissa's not ready for this.
Oh, that's.
Melissa would not dance at the Abbey last night,
It wasn't Yiddish.
but because it wasn't.
Hashem.
Wow. Leah.
And that's how you start an episode.
You're so right. Welcome to Yenta, everybody. Welcome. I'm out of breath. The podcast that's sometimes about comedy, sometimes about Judaism, and always about gossip. Today on the podcast, we have Orthodox in LA.
This is huge. The Orthodox are here.
Melissa Weisz, Leah Forster. I forgot the thing. Yes.
And we are so excited to tell you all, to remind you all that we have an amazing Patreon that you should go subscribe to right now, patreon.com/Yenta, where we put all of the stuff that's so juicy it would ruin our careers to put it on Spotify. It's incredible. Patreon.com/Yenta. Comment on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. Follow us on YouTube, please. It really helps, and it lets us bring more amazing guests like the Orthodox. So,
And this is American Idol. Because the way you said 5,
I know, wasn't
Follow
that good?
us on
Yes, great
Spotify.
job.
Very professional.
We're getting more professional because we know more people are going to listen to this one, so we are paying more
I
attention.
like the intro too.
Yeah, that was Antonia's.
That's really good.
That's
She's
right.
great. She's
Good
great.
job.
How are you? 'Cause we're in LA.
I know. I love being
This
here.
is amazing.
I love LA.
I know, but
I
then you
can't
say you won't
believe-
move here.
So I won't move. Just because you love something, it's like I love
Fine.
weed doesn't mean I should do it all the time. Not that I'm comparing, God forbid.
Do you think she would we love it if we moved here or once? we
Yes.
moved
I don't
here,
know.
like,
What do you love about it?
visiting?
Great.
Okay.
Good question. Weather is my number one pull here. Obviously, it's good weather all the time.
Yeah.
That's really good for your mental health.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Although I've heard that people say that the no change is not good for your mental health.
Yeah.
Like too much of the
There's
same.
a little
yeah.
bit of change. It's not the same.
little.
It's just very small.
It's a little change.
A nice amount of change.
There are days
to
where I
not-
have to wear a light jacket.
Yes, that's huge.
That's huge.
Huge. Also, I love being right by the beach. So that's
So
a huge
nice.
plus. So I do live in Jersey and I am near a beach, but not as close. Right now I'm staying right near the beach. So that's just so good for my mental health.
Yeah.
Like I'm eating well, I'm sleeping well. I feel great here. Last night we went to the club.
The club. And we
Well, we went for
danced.
dinner because it's Melissa's birthday.
Yes, happy birthday,
birthday.
Melissa.
Thank you.
So that was fun,
Yeah.
and we took her sexy self out.
Yeah, and she loved it. She danced so hard.
Okay, we had a conversation about this.
Yeah.
Okay, the music that I grew up with is not. Although now there's like it's almost as if you're a rave in Hasidic music
Yeah.
sometimes, which I'm like, I will, but I get overstimulated, and so for me, I feel like I'm watching it. I can't feel myself. So I can't dance to that music, but I'm having a good time. So we had a conversation where it was like, she thought she was taking me out of my misery. I'm like, I'm a grown-ass woman.
I know.
I can tell you if I want to go.
Yeah, she's like, I'll just leave.
And
if
you did, and you did. At
No.
one point, she was like, "I'm ready."
Right? Leah was
Yeah.
the one that was
Not
like, we
from
should
the-
put them out of their misery.
But that time I wasn't ready, actually. But my point is that I was enjoying watching you dance.
Yeah.
That was really fun for me,
'Cause
even
we
though
were
I
really
didn't
hot.
dance.
Yeah. Anyway,
I really
So
like that.
audience may not know, but Ray is the best when it comes to hitting the dance floor,
so
which works for
fun.
me. I said I would
Really?
party
Do
with
not
Ray
know Ray is
anytime.
fun.
We've never gone out dancing together.
Antonia will never go out with
Okay,
me.
so
yeah,
Why?
we have different going out vibes.
Is it like me? Is it like
Yeah, I'm much more like you.
low key?
Low key.
Good.
Honestly,
okay.
once the sun goes down, I want to be hanging out in my apartment.
I get that.
Like it bums
I
me
get
out
that.
to be driving anywhere once
Got-
the sun
got
goes
it.
down.
Yeah.
I'm just like I want to be cozy, and
know.
I'll be up till 11 p.m.
Oh.
Okay, I'll
That's
go all the way
insane,
till
man.
11, hanging out in an apartment.
You're wild.
I'm crazy.
We talked about doing like you mentioned about having a lounge. Like imagine
Yes.
like I want a lounge,
Soft
soft
seating,
music,
soft
soft
music.
lighting, couches. Come hang with me. Have
Melissa-
tea. I'm good.
Tea?
Yes,
We should go
tea.
into business.
Okay.
Move to LA and we'll start a tea lounge.
We can do an LA New York thing.
I love
too,
that bi-coastal.
right? Bi-coastal.
That's very
Okay,
hot.
yeah.
Also, should we
Oh my God, you
turn
can call
off
it-
the Zusha
You can call
background?
it tea for tea.
I mean, as much as we love tea
you
for
can't.
tea, that's very cute. Okay, when you walked in here, first of all, I'm so excited to meet the world famous Orthodox.
Huge.
I mean, this is huge for me
And
as
for
a
our
fan.
listeners, if you're coming here for Orthodox because you think Orthodox is its own thing, it's not. It's always been a Yenta podcast
Yeah,
experience,
it's a spin-off.
but it's a spin-off, and it can maybe also be a spin-off one day. But just so you know, Antonia is the
You
co-host
can
of
be
the
an
Yenta
Orthodox.
podcast.
yeah, I'm actually the co-host.
We're really
Even
excited
though
to meet
everyone prefers the Orthodox. No, but it's so exciting to have you here. And when you walked in, Leah, you were like, "We have so much to talk about."
We do.
So what is all that stuff that you have to talk about?
Oh my gosh, where do we begin? Should we start with Ray? Should we get
No,
right into why?
I'm too shy. Wait, first of all, do you know that's your hat that you're wearing right
I
now
know,
that you
I
gave to me in
know.
New York
saw
and
it
I
was
brought
like,
it?
You know what?
It looks
If we're
so
shooting a
good
couple
on you.
episodes, I'm gonna start.
It
I'm
looks
a hat
amazing.
person. I love hats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
great.
I just hate
The-
schlepping them all over
The
the
thing
place.
you wanted to talk about in our group chat was you said you wanted to talk about the difference between having sex with men versus women. So you go first.
Well, okay. So for those tuning in, right? So I don't know your sexual.
I'm bi.
Okay, there we go. So almost everyone around me is bi.
Yeah.
So who has had sex with men and women and enjoyed them both,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I asked you first, Ray, what is the difference between the sex you're having with men and the sex you're having with women?
Yeah.
Great question. Are you having sex with men and women?
Definitely not.
Okay.
I had a visceral reaction to
So
that.
this is just a curiosity.
I'm totally curious.
Are you
Yeah.
That's
having
what
sex
it
with men
is.
and women?
You know, not yet.
I hear that.
I'm like thinking about, like I started to go on a little dates with men and being like, maybe I want this. I don't know.
This is like my thesis, the gayest thing there is.
Wait,
these
wait,
days.
Wait,
what?
I have
Say
something
more.
I need to interrupt. I'm not an interrupter, but I'm going to interrupt
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
Leia's not an interrupter.
Ladies, if you're listening, please save Melissa. I'm begging you, now is your time. It's the last call. You know? Okay, this model is newly updated, just had a birthday recently. Okay? Comes in Auburn right now.
Is it Auburn?
In actually an upgraded sexy haircut.
Haircut's
newly
so
done,
hot.
Fresh,
Yep.
exactly. great smile.
So comfortable
Super
Her
talented,
eyes.
great. Comes in a writer version. This one is a writer version. They write a lot, and they actually sold a screenplay
To
but also, like,
Netflix.
a kind, patient, fun human being. Get in, ladies.
Yeah.
Generous, sexy. It's now, because if she's going to men, the world is in crisis, people. I know.
Okay, so
Obviously, I have
dramatic.
some of my own issues.
Wow,
on
Yeah.
that's a-
Because you're like, dude, you have a boyfriend. You have a boyfriend. And I'm like, yeah. By the way, I'm kidding. This is all jokes.
I
This is
know,
all
I know.
jokes.
No,
So-
I'm really
It's
joking.
fine.
I'm not a
I don't
man
feel
hater.
bad about dating a man
But I'm not
at
a man
all.
hater. Just for the record, like some of my best friends are men, and some of my best friends date men. No, really.
I have a Jewish friend.
I have a black friend. That's literally what I sound like.
That is.
Wait, so what in your experience is the difference between having sex with men, women, and non-binary people?
Oh yeah.
If-
That's
That's a great question.
That's a good question.
I'm gonna push back. I hate that question. Because every man is different and every woman is different and every non-binary person is different, and I refuse to generalize people based on their gender. Yeah.
Canceled.
Wait, but I like
Actually,
the
you know what?
passion.
That's exactly the answer that I would expect.
Yes.
And we have a lot of this very similar views on a lot of things, because I'm also like, I'm not non-binary, but I am in the way that I think, which is nothing is to me anything. It just is, and people are.
Yes.
And things are.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So I get it, and that's exactly the perfect answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just not attracted to the male,
Physique.
you know, but I do like masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I like brat energy, not masculine energy. I just want someone to put up a fight, but ultimately they have to lose.
How is that mask energy? Wait, say what is mask energy? What's
I
brat
like
energy?
fighting for top. I like that push and pull.
Okay, I see.
And yeah, I mean, you've met my girlfriend,
Yes.
so we have a very similar.
Got it.
Yeah,
know.
you guys are both a little bratty.
Oh wow,
like-
I've never been called a brat before, but hey, I'm open.
Toppy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not bratty. Bratty is not toppy.
But the way you
No,
described
you could
it
be a
kind of-
top brat.
Okay.
The way you described it, that made sense. I thought it never goes together, but the way that you described it actually it made sense.
Yeah, well, we've
That could
discussed
be.
me being an emotional top, an emotional bottom, and a sexual top. That's what I am.
Oh.
You can bottom me emotionally all day. All day. I accept with pleasure.
I don't understand what emotional bottom means.
Yeah.
It means my partners,
Having
I
so much
usually I usually allow my partner to take emotional control over the relationship. Maybe it's a me thing, but the way that I tap into how the relationship is doing is if they're happy. I'm also have to be happy.
So emotional bottoming means that you.
I'm a pleaser. I'm
you're
a
people
pleaser, a very big pleaser.
Yeah, which is not necessarily a bad thing when
No.
it's in a healthy.
No, and in a
scenario.
it has been unhealthy.
Yeah.
But in my current relationship, I'd like to think that it's just I'm okay with being the emotional bottom. I'm a pleaser. I'm flexible with most things. I'm non-binary. I don't care where I am, what I am. I don't care. I'm generally happy with what I
Love it.
eat, where I sleep. So I'm okay with my person taking care of those, like making those calls. But so when it comes down to it, when we get into bed, I'm a top. Capiche?
Kapash.
Good.
What about you, Melissa?
I kind of want to challenge you
I knew it.
Oh.
because I'm thinking it's very binary way of thinking. It's emotional, like people pleaser and emotional bottom, emotional top. I have a hard time with tops and bottoms conversation too, because I think that it's like you were saying about like, you know how it's each individual is different. And I like to think when I'm with somebody and there's intimacy, I don't want to be stuck in a role. And it's something that I think I'm trying to figure out in myself consistently, that sometimes I don't think it's a role and I find myself I'm caught up in a role and I take pride in it. And then I'm like, oh, I am really kind of stuck in that. So I think the challenge is there more fluidity in what you're saying with being like, is being a people pleaser or wanting your girlfriend to be happy, does that make you an emotional bottom? Does that mean that you come after, or can you
Maybe
live
I'm
side
not
by
expressing
side?
it right. I just don't know how to put it into words other than to say that physically, I like to take control.
Yes.
Emotionally, I'm okay with not being in
Got it.
control.
Got it.
I don't know how else to explain.
So maybe
it.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I also hear what you're saying. Like, I feel like this is a thing in the queer community where, like, our community has the ability to think more expansively
Yes.
and specifically about sex.
Yes.
And that's incredible. It's also led to people being able to identify their sexual preferences with more articulation than straight people. But
was that you called me out on my own shiz, which was, you challenged me. Like, maybe it's not the way that I think it is. And now that you're saying it, it's not that way. Why do I think I'm an emotional bottom? It's like a stupid thing.
Yeah.
I need
You're
to get out of my
flexible.
own. Exactly.
And well, so this
Yeah.
is what I'm
Sometimes
saying.
I'm-
That with the
sometimes-
ability to like articulate our own
Yes.
wants and preferences, what sometimes accidentally happens is they become rigid boxes
We
that we
box
think
ourselves in.
don't
Yeah.
change.
Yes.
We say like I'm a top, as opposed to right now in this relationship, I'm inspired by
Yes.
Oh
topping. And that's an interesting downside.
Oh my God, I love
smart.
this way.
She's
I'm
so
a
good.
woman of
so
top
good.
That's a really great.
experience.
That's a really great.
I'm a woman with a top narrative.
But that's a really great way to put it, because that's what I think I'm trying to figure out with me dating men too. I'm like, have I put myself in a box? Because I know when I date non-binary people, I'm like, there's different parts of me, there's different parts of them that I find sexy, and I'm like, oh, there's a range, and maybe I put myself in a box, and I think that's where I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I don't want to live in those boxes that we create for ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Happy birthday to
Everyone
you.
should date
Thank you.
non-binary people.
Everyone
I
should,
agree.
Everyone should
Period.
be
Yes.
non-binary.
Everyone should be non-binary. This is an evangelical podcast.
Gender is a social construct. Give us money.
By the way, if you want to get really technical, we're living in a matrix and we're all non-binary.
Yeah, we're all
Say it to the camera.
we're all robots.
Realities.
I mean, like, if you want to be like Jewish, it's a Jewish podcast and go by the Torah concept.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Akedas Yitzchak, which for those of you that like, it's one of the biggest paradoxical
This is
anomalies,
God telling Abraham to sacrifice his
which
son
is
Isaac.
basically God saying to Abraham, sacrifice your son. The very man that spent his entire life going from village to village preaching against sacrificing children, because that was the avodah zarah of the time, was Molech. And his mission in life,
Avodah zarah means like sin.
sacrifice, bringing
Sacrifice
your
to the
own
gods.
child.
Sacrifice, and Molech.
Molech was sacrificing your own child
Okay.
to a altar, to
Gotcha.
heaven, to an afterlife, to whatever, kind of like what the terrorists do or the bombers do. It was like that was a
Yeah.
thing of the time. He went around from town to town telling people not to do that. God comes in his ear and says, do that to your own son. Wild, right?
Yeah.
And in that scene where he holds up the knife and then a voice comes down and says, Avram, Avram, right? Why is there two Avrams? Why did God say it twice? There's no mincing of words.
I love this.
The
Why are there
answer
two
is,
Avrams?
why are there two? It's because Avram down here, you finally reached your Avram up there. You've reached your maximum amount of challenges. This was the hardest one, but in that moment, the soul switched from masculine to feminine. Yitzchak's soul was, they say, the legend says, the Medrash says that in the moment that he was holding the knife and the voice came out, Yitzchak's soul was a feminine soul and switched to a masculine soul. And the ram was brought as the sacrifice and the souls were switched out because he was not able to marry Rivka yet until he had the right feminine soul. That's in the Torah.
No,
I don't
Masculine-
totally understand
masculine
the gender
soul.
thing.
Same.
None of that's
Say
in
more.
the Torah except the big plot points of kill your kid. But the
Yeah,
The
this is
soul
all-
thing
this-
is
This is all
Medrash.
Medrash.
This is all
soul
Medrash.
thing
This
is
is all
all
Medrash.
like-
This is all
yeah.
Zohar. This is all like deeper learning. They say that everything happens for a reason. He had to experience that of about to be sacrificed so that his soul can switch out for the right gendered soul.
And
Interesting
he
with
ends,
gender. Why?
He
Yeah.
ends being more feminine.
More
Masculine.
More
masculine.
masculine.
Correct. And he was not able to get married before then because he was his soul was not aligned. Again,
Like I love
that for you.
it. I could also see some rabbis being like, and that's why all of you pansy boys need to get mask enough so you can go marry women.
You know what it was
I can see
making
that
me think?
story being misinterpreted.
Yeah, we need more information.
So funny when I hear that, like my brain doesn't go there. My brain might have went there before, but like now that I'm learning Torah, my brain goes to, oh, that's really cool in a way that like everything's aligned. Everything happens for a reason.
It's the yin and the
That's
yang.
it.
It's
Not deeper than
not
do I
about the
really
gender that
think it's
everyone
about a
needs to be
thing
that.
switching or
It's
like a
that-
snake biting somebody? I never think it's about the thing.
Yeah.
I always think it's about what am I taking out of it? Like,
These
what's it
Torah
teaching?
stories are just like they're Rorschach tests for us to project our own
For
morals
sure,
and
yeah.
politics onto. So it's like you hear that story
Yeah.
and you're like, look, gender
Yeah.
is so fluid, and someone else hears that story and is like, look, you need to man up.
Man,
Yeah.
That's Torah.
You can
know what
just
it's
use it
making me
however
think?
to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
it's making me think is I'm reading this book by like Ram Dass, and it's Polishing the Mirror, and what he talks about, and this is what's making me think, which I don't, not the gender part, but about really trying to love the people that you hate, because recognizing that you're all one, it's all inside of you, all those qualities, and that we're all part of this one, we're all one.
yeah.
And so he has an altar that he used to, when he was alive, having this altar that he would keep the like Buddha and like Jesus and like all these like people that he respected and admired and looked up to, and also the people that he had trouble with, like big leaders, political leaders that he
Wow.
could, and he would only take them off the mantle when he was able to say good morning to each of them with the same amount of love.
Huh.
And I wondered, isn't that powerful?
Yes.
I'm like, this is incredible. So he would literally say good morning every time. He would say good morning, Buddha, good morning, this, good morning, and he would have to say good morning. And a lot of them were political leaders that have caused so much harm.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need to recognize the humanity in them to recognize the humanity in me. Kind of, I'm paraphrasing. But what it's making me think of, because he was preaching, that Avram had to go through this, because he was telling other people to not sacrifice, that he have to come to that in himself in order to better himself, not the Yitzchak thing, not the, like, I'm thinking of the Avram thing, what that experience must have been like. And did it somehow make it more real for him to be able to actually understand by putting himself in those people's shoes?
Ooh.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Isn't that
That's
interesting?
deep. That's
Yeah.
good. He had to understand what the people doing Avodah Zarah are doing,
Yeah.
so he could understand how to be.
Because he was going around telling
doing
people to
what he's
stop
doing.
it. And
I
I'm like,
love
is
that.
that?
I
That's a
love
And
that.
for the record,
Rabbi.
for the record, the
Melissa.
Rebbe, total Rebbe, this is what the Bacharim do. They sit around and they talk Torah.
We're chavrusas
Literally,
now.
I used to
Chavrutas,
wonder, what
as
is
they
my
say in
father
Reform.
doing for so long? They're literally sitting around and being like, maybe this, maybe that. Like,
I love that.
oh,
Wait,
yeah.
This is like,
thinking like
I love this.
I just wanna hang out with you guys all the
Right?
time.
Yeah.
This is fun to learn Torah.
But you know how like women are associated with yenting,
Yeah.
with gossiping?
Yeah.
It's because like they're not taught to learn Torah.
Oh.
And
So you're just like, I'm bored. Like I have nothing else to. I can't
we
talk.
should
I
learn.
can't learn Torah.
And
like,
this
I wanna
is
learn.
like all the Torah learning is still gossiping. It's just gossiping about a respectable source.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
gossiping about Abraham.
And when you
oh my
don't
God,
have
he tried to
access-
sacrifice.
And
his
by the
in a
way,
son.
that enlightens
only-
you versus talking about others. I think when I think of gossip, I think about the mundane, and I think
Yeah.
when
Like
we
guess
think
who
about
got
Torah,
engaged.
yeah. When we think about learning Torah, you're still doing that, but you're trying to understand how to live, and I think it just orients you towards that versus like sometimes you can get lost in the gossiping.
I'm pro both.
Oh yeah, me
I'm
too.
pro both.
Me
and
too.
just like with Torah, it's like about the intention you bring into it. You
So
know?
are we going
I
to
mean,
get
your
right
podcast
into...
of yenting is the right kind of
It's
yenting.
Torah.
That's
So
for
I think
sure.
that we
The
should
right
gossip
kind.
about the TV show.
It's Torah.
This too is Torah.
Torah. So I think we should get right into this
Yes,
TV
any-
show.
any-
Gossip
Torah,
about
Nobody
it.
wants
Torah,
this.
Torah,
Nobody
Torah,
wants this.
Torah.
Melissa,
I think
Lanu, Moshe.
maybe we should try to not
Torah,
do
Torah,
so much
Torah,
crosstalk. I was
Torah,
Okay.
because our listeners are gonna be like, "Blah."
What?
sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We'll be
Okay,
quiet.
so-
We'll be good.
Nobody wants this.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Melissa walked out, walked into the apartment,
Yeah.
saw me, the token reform, and said, "So Is nobody wants this reformed? Is this accurate?
Literally the first question.
The first thing you said to me.
It was on the top of your mind.
Yes. I was
Yeah.
like, I need a real
She
reform
talked to me
person.
about it yesterday too.
So answer the question. Is it?
Okay, so I kind of told you this
Yes.
earlier. Yes, it's completely accurate, but that's because Reform Judaism is the biggest denomination by far, and it includes everyone from people who are completely secular, would never even walk into a shul, but would still claim the label Reform Judaism, to people whose practice is like indistinguishable from modern Orthodox, but would still call themselves Reform. And so the spectrum is so wide that, like, yeah, basically anything goes. This is completely believable for Reform. But there are some Reform people who will see this and say, that's not at all like my Reform experience, because the spectrum is so wide, and also because typically Reform people aren't so engaged beyond their limited shul experience, so they might not even realize how big the spectrum of Reform even is. So it's like, yes and no. It is completely accurate to Reform, but it's not accurate to everybody's Reform experience. Just like you guys know, Orthodox, Yeshivish is like such a huge spectrum. So like you could see one portrayal and it could be accurate, but completely inaccurate to your experiences.
Yes.
You know?
And then Leah was saying like, oh, we learned it so differently that it has to be basically all or nothing. Like you can't just do one thing. And I was talking about this with my mom this week, because we were talking about like, if you learn a black and white version of Judaism, it's going to be really hard to live in the gray. And same thing with my brother, because my brother has this super black and white version of it, and he's like doing nothing. And I was kind of like that too for a long time after I left. I was like, I can't do anything. But now I think if you teach people a version of Judaism that can be gray, then they can live with it more and they can experience it more throughout their
I think that's a
lives.
great point.
Yeah.
And you were saying, Leah, when you sort of joined this conversation, you were like, ugh, the Reform, I could never be. And I was so curious about that, because I suspect that you and I practice almost identical forms of Judaism.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
I call myself Reform. And
Okay,
I'm
so
not
let's
sure.
It's the pick and choose.
Let's
right.
test it out.
Yeah, listen. I mean, I hate to talk about this like publicly because it's my own relationship with religion, right?
Yeah.
But what I see in general is that the Reform people that I've met have like knedel. You know what I mean?
What does that mean?
Okay, knedels. That's like not even a kneidel, but it's like I picked like a
that
Jewish
explains.
food because that like summarizes who you are.
Like a
You're
filter
not even
fish.
saying kneidel. You're saying knedel. You know, it's like
Americanized.
yeah, it's like you
Okay.
know we have a beret at 8 days for
Oh,
the
you're saying, like,
Jewish
just
boy.
because
You're saying our language is different.
Not only language, it's we have in Hasidim have tam. It's like Hasidic tam, Yiddish tam. It's flavor. It's a beginning to end experience. So for us, Sukkot is not. Yes, it's first days, Chol Hamoed, second Sukkot, but in our community, Sukkot is 8 days. It's a week. Everyone's off. Life is off. The streets look the same. The community looks the same. It's a disappearance. I am in business. A lot of the community that I do business with in the religious community has very clearly, expressed to me that I'm in broken English. I'm completely off for the complete, and they'll tell me, holidays, because they don't know that I'm like also from. So they'll say, holidays, and I'll say, yeah, I know what that is. I'm off, like completely. So that's our Pesach Sukkot. Shabbos is sun up to sundown. Not we sit down and have Shabbat dinner like Reform and then hang out and watch a movie and go to the beach on Saturday morning. No. Freitag Banacht,
But when you
followed
say-
by shul, followed by tish,
But
followed
do
by
you?
Yeah, but
do you?
I hear you.
Oh,
I know
me,
that the
Leah.
Yeah,
communities
you,
are
Leah,
different,
not
but-
Orthodox.
Yeah, I'm
you.
about you.
I'm definitely more towards the Hasidic experience. And
Are you fully immersed?
I mean, I go to shul every single Shabbos. I keep a fully kosher home. I eat kosher out of the house. I fast on Yom Kippur. I really don't drive on Friday night.
Are you observant Shabbat? Like no electronics?
It depends on the Shabbos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear
So
you.
Same as us.
Wait, so does
yeah,
it
you
seem
think you're
okay?
better than us?
Wait.
We have
Why
just
do
as
you
much
think that's
Judaism as
better?
you.
No, but
I didn't
but
say
Leah,
better.
I think I also want to point out something that I think proves your point that we are different. Yes, in terms of the specific observances we do, we're very similar. But you're right that Judaism is not just the observances you do. It's not just, oh, I'm not on my phone on Shabbos. Me
Right.
either. There's more to it. There's a culture.
Yeah, so wait,
there's
not
the community
Judaism.
you
So
live
right,
in,
exactly. Like I have a
there's-
rabbi.
there's how
I
much
go
you
to shul. There's
study,
kiddush. There's sukkah.
and there's language differences, and there's community differences, and so that I totally respect. And also, that's so Jewish. And also,
And also,
Yes,
we
and-
observe very similarly.
Right.
yeah. By
You
the
know?
way, it wasn't judgment. I was coming from like when I watched that. What's the show
show,
called? It's
Nobody
Wants
Wants
this. I thought, what the heck Judaism is this? That was my thought. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. This is so cool. In my community, if it's like, oh, if you meet a shiksa, it's not even a question. And by the way, for those of you that are listening, a shiksa to us is a non-Jew.
They've all watched the show, I'm
Okay, there you
assuming.
go. So it's like
Yeah,
somebody who's
absolutely.
not Jewish is like in our community an abomination. It wouldn't even be a consideration of somebody that they
Abomination?
would date
Oh, date.
or
date.
marry. Like, no way.
Yeah.
But in his
Unless
in
they
his thing-
converted
but
Orthodox.
even so,
Yeah.
and also even so, not in my like in our community, my parents would never even do a shidduch. When I was in shidduchim,
match.
Yeah.
which was in the matchmaking
An
game,
arranged
and I was in the
match,
meat
yeah.
market thing when I was 18. I
the
was
market, they
mentioned
do
to a
say on the
family,
market.
Yeah.
and the problem was that on one side, one of the parents was a ger, which means they converted, and for that reason, my parents were not
But
interested.
you know why? But that's because of they're not always sure that the conversion is Orthodox and that it's a correct conversion.
But that's not
That's
halacha.
the-
That's just judgment.
It's
Judgmental.
communities. No, and they're
Judgment.
worried-
It's standard. It's community standard.
No, but it is worried about halacha because
It's
about
worried
the
about
conversion
it.
process
Yeah,
too.
but you can like find out if it was a halachic conversion.
Also, like
are
worried
the
about halacha
generations?
doesn't excuse it for the record, because I don't believe like just because you're worried about, let's say, germs, it's not an excuse to become like an OCD nutto. You know what I mean? Like just because you're
I'm
worried.
doing an excuse. I think I'm just
Oh,
saying
I
that the reasoning behind that is because we were saying about shiksa, and I think someone that's not Jewish, unless they're converting, is even an option. And then there's all these ideas within that and how that works in the community. I have a question about the use of the word shiksa. I've never heard shiksa used so many times.
Yeah.
I thought we weren't allowed to do that anymore.
I know.
What do we think about this?
I think it's a bad word.
I also thought we had given up
We
the
have
word.
given up the word.
It's a bad word.
And then the show used it a lot. And I think that might be in part because the showrunner who wrote the show is a recent convert and maybe didn't even realize that this conversation was happening.
Well,
I also think it's authentic. Like
was
people
gonna say,
are actually
may I
using
and
offer-
it might also be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
also,
she
may
was
I
like,
offer
"This is real."
another like, because I've met people that come to my show that will say to me like, I'm a proud shiksa. They'll say it to
Yeah.
me like, I'm with
Yeah.
a Jewish guy and I'm a
I've
shiksa,
heard
you
that
know.
too.
So I very much feel like it's the queers reowning the word
Reclaiming.
queer.
I love it.
And my book is, that I'm coming out with. I did the same
Oh,
thing.
What a seamless
What a
transition.
segue.
Leia's hosting this podcast.
Yeah. Buckle up. Did I say I'm a top?
Told you, this is the chutzpah. This is
I
the
know,
chutzpah.
I
I've
know.
said I'm a top from day one. I'm not.
Well, Leia has a book. That's crazy.
No,
What's
but-
it about?
Oh my, what about no, but I'm coming out with a book. It'll be everywhere in January. It's called Club MILF. I'll talk a lot more about it, but the book is called Club MILF. MIILFF. I chose that for a lot of reasons, but it does stand for Mothers Interested in Launching Financial Freedom. It's a fiction book based on a woman named Leah. Fiction. She's in her 40s and she's rediscovering Brooklyn life after leaving an ultra-Orthodox Hasidic marriage. And she meets this girl, Mel, also totally fiction, really sexy,
not related to
androgynous.
anyone on the pod.
Yeah. A writer, but not Melissa at all. Just a different Mel.
a different one.
She has blue eyes as well, but it's not the same. And she's not a writer either. So.
And you have Rachel,
The super talented hot best friend.
yes,
who runs a schmodcast.
Who's right with curly hair? Who's writing a script with Mel?
Yes.
Who's selling it? Who sold their TV show?
Yes, and it's making schmillions.
Yeah.
But anyway, the book
I'm using
talks
your
about
book pitch
MILFs
to talk about
because
our
the
TV.
character Mel in the story is very skeptical and is like, I'm not interested in going to this club, and what is it even all about? A MILF, get me out of here with that name. And when she discovers that it's a group of like multi-billionaire, like female, feminine moguls that are doing really cool stuff, she understands that its mother's interested in launching financial freedom, and it's a group of MILFs really reclaiming the word MILF. So that's how I see the word queer, and that's how I see the word shiksa.
That was really good.
You know,
Wow.
so you're welcome.
Leah, this is awesome. Yes.
So thank you. So so when I watched it, I thought, what form of Judaism is this? But again, now that I am becoming more religious, I travel around the world. Wherever I go to different Chabads, and I'm always like, wow, if I grew up like this, maybe I wouldn't have those negative experiences that I do have. But if there's a million factors that make us the way we are. Right now, the way like I live the world is, like I said, very non-binary. Like I'm just floating through it as a soul and taking whatever I can.
I love that. Antonia,
Yes, Melissa.
did you always, being Reform, did all your Jewish experiences, are all your Jewish experiences positive?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. I thought, yes, I love to say like, oh, I have zero religious trauma.
Yeah.
And then I realized recently that I hate the high holidays because that was my only engagement with Judaism as a kid. And it was basically like, it was torture. It was, you come to shul so you can be tortured for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And that's Judaism. And so I've been re-evaluating my relationship with the high holidays by not going to shul. And this year I did all hiking days and was just like alone. And I was like, oh, now I'm starting to reconnect. So that's my only whisper of religious trauma.
Which is the thing that you actually did.
What?
Like
Yes.
going to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Meaning the way that you were plugged into the community, that caused you
yes.
the religious trauma.
Yeah, the only thing
The
that you
only
did,
thing I did traumatize
that
me.
yeah, and we did everything.
But you know what?
Exactly.
Maybe you didn't have as much of the joy, because I feel like the conflict
There
comes
was no
from
joy.
Yes.
And as a kid and as a college student, I was completely divorced from Judaism because I was like, the point of Judaism is social clout. Is you show up to synagogue so that everyone can see you being an upstanding member of the community, and you're miserable the whole time. It's not for any spiritual connection. No one even says the word God. Oh. And then I like went to other religions like Christianity, evangelical Christianity, and I was like, there's so much ruach here. And I was like, maybe it exists in Judaism. And so that's why I came back to Judaism, was because I was like, maybe there's another way.
That is amazing.
right?
I love hearing stories like that because I'm like, me too. Like my version and her version and your version. But like,
we're all going up and down the connection ladder all the time. And I feel like I end up hanging out with people who are who are somewhere moving on the ladder.
Yeah.
So you said you have enough ex-Orthodox friends that you're noticing patterns.
oh, here we go.
What are those?
Okay. Are you about to
Just
cry?
like
No,
they're
I
all
want to know.
gay.
Hit me with your best shot.
I want to know. One of the things I was just thinking is that all the religious, like I think when you're taught religion, it doesn't matter whatever level you are, but when you're given it as a kid, and you have no connection, it's a very different journey. And then when you're an adult, you're like, wait, what do I like? What do I not like? What feels right? What doesn't feel right? And I think in that, we all have the same experience.
I have a joke that's like, religion is like iPhones. Like adults can be trusted with them, and they ruin kids.
I think more like religion is like I'm okay with you having one, but don't shove it in my face. That's my version.
Okay, that's good. What's everyone's religion is like?
Religion is like coffee.
Yeah.
Yes, some people take it black. Some people add some sugar. Some people add milk, and some people have it cold. Some people have it hot. I feel like religion is like, some people are so like, I only take
people
coffee
don't
this
drink
way,
it.
and some people don't drink it, and some people are
And
like,
then there's
only drink it this
decaf,
way.
which
This
is
the right way
fake,
to
but
have
they still
coffee.
want the taste.
Yeah. And everyone is a little judgmental about every other
Oh my
way to
God!
have
So
coffee.
Reform, that's actually a great example. So Reform to me is the
Look at me.
decaf
Look
of
at
coffee,
Good.
right? Reform is the decaf of coffee.
Yeah, because you're still drinking coffee.
You're still drinking coffee, and it still has some caffeine.
But wait, this is okay. Let me extend that metaphor, because there's a coffee guy on YouTube I'm obsessed with who says this about decaf coffee: that the people who drink decaf coffee are the real coffee lovers.
Oh.
Because they're still choosing to engage with coffee for the taste alone, not even the caffeine.
Me.
And
That's
their,
deep. Oh,
I
and
love
their
that.
communities being underserved because they get the shittiest coffee.
yeah.
Because everyone thinks they're the
They don't care about
they
coffee,
don't
Yeah.
care,
but they
but actually,
do.
they care more than anyone, and that's Reform Judaism as well. We don't have
Oh, I
to
love
engage.
this so
We could assimilate away, and the people who are going to shul in Reform Judaism care so much that they're willing to actually go.
Okay, that is wow.
They don't have to
beautiful.
go.
They
They
don't have to go.
No,
they
versus the way like
choose.
we have
Because
that, and with the
everything-
community, and people expect that. You don't have to do any of that, and
Not
you do it
at all.
anyway.
Yeah.
And you have all this other secularism stuff around you that you can be,
Do you know how much
blinded
more
by
fun
and still doing
everything
it.
is than shul?
Yeah, that's what I was telling. I was like, why would people go to shul for hours? We talked about going to shul, and we're
Yeah.
like, why would it be long? Why would people go to shul for hours when there's so much else to do on Saturday?
It's hard to explain, but like I go to shul every Shabbos, so just gonna chime
Yesterday when we
in.
talked about shul,
Yeah.
and you said it might still go on, and I was like, why would
Oh,
it be this
Ikar.
long?
Yeah.
Why would people go to
'Cause
shul?
Ikar
There's
ends
so
up
much to
closer
do.
If you can do other things.
Right.
Yeah, because they like it.
Yeah, I mean,
love
I go
that.
I
I
go
love
to
that.
Ikar every Shabbos,
I love
and
that.
it's like, it's because there's something more there. I think that there's something that you discover when you start engaging in these practices and just saying yes to them over and over and over, and taking on the responsibility of doing them over and over.
Yeah.
You find a little transcendence.
You do
You
transcendence.
love that word.
Yes,
It's a great
I
word.
do.
It's like yoga. You talk to yogis and you think they're nuts, like they're yogaing all the time, and it's a lifestyle. Like I need yoga in my life. I
Yoga
do.
is really about transcendence. It's not
Anytime.
about the movement.
Wait,
It's
so what are the
about that.
similarities
Okay,
you
so
noticed?
back to the
Oh, yeah,
gossip.
sorry.
Okay,
Go.
Okay. So first of all, every ex-Orthodox person I meet is so hot.
Oh, obviously.
And cool and gay, and just to get that off the bat.
But
Also,
Great start. Go on. Great start. Now we're open.
brilliant,
Brilliant.
Amazing, successful.
You
Perfect
smell
skin.
so good.
Oh my God, our skin is flawless. Basically, we're the chosen people. Carry on.
Also,
I
I notice that judgment and judgmentalness is a huge specter haunting you. That I just noticed my ex-Orthodox friends every so often will reveal a fear of judgment for some small thing that I would be shocked. I would never even think I'd be judged for. And they'll reveal, oh, but I could never do that. Oh, I would never want to look like one of those ugly gays. I would never, oh my God, I could never dress. I saw these people dressed up in cosplay yesterday, obviously Halloween. I could never dress up like that. That looks so dumb. That's so embarrassing.
and like constantly self-judging.
They're so worried about that judgment. And then it also means that they flip and
Judge
have
other
some weird
people.
judgmentalness about other people, other people's bodies, sexuality. Those come up a lot, and I can tell that those are a big thing in the culture, so it comes up a lot. But it's always kind of shocking to me, especially because all my ex-Orthodox friends I'm hanging out with are almost entirely queer.
Yeah.
We're all hanging out because we have this similar, like you and I feel like have a commonality of just being like, we get along because we're cool about all of these lifestyle choices. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we find a lot of common ground on being like, we're doing our own thing.
Yeah.
Our friends are doing their own thing.
So
Everyone's
accepting.
weird. We love hanging out because we're all weird and we're being weird together. And then some weird judgment will
Yeah.
emerge. And I'm like, what?
Oh.
That's what I notice a lot.
I feel so seen, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I have insight.
I feel really seen by that. Like I and this has come up on the pod a few times. Like
Yeah.
I just like I'm super judgmental of myself, and you called me out one time, and because you were like, do you think that maybe you used to judge other people, and that's why?
Is that her voice? Is that Antonia's voice? I didn't pick up on your voice sounding like that.
This is Antonia's calling in voice.
Yeah, exactly.
and it was just right because I was really judging myself for dating a boy.
Yeah.
And she was like, do you think maybe you used to judge other people? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's
Wow.
true.
By the way, I feel like you judge yourself a little bit. Like
for sure.
with allowing you a lot
But I
of
want to
things.
hear the
but-
insight about yourself, and then we can talk about.
Oh
me.
yeah, I was gonna talk about you. No, it's not necessarily me, by the way, but I am
I do have that.
judgmental, and my biggest judgment is me. I'm saying I judge myself very harshly. I actually have a business coach, and I did a full comprehensive test that took me a long time to figure out what my saboteurs are. Mm-hmm. And my number one saboteur is my judgment. Is the judgmental shrew. I have no other word for her. And so sometimes I'll start a video and I'll be like, I'll apologize to the camera, like, oh, I didn't wear makeup today or something like that. And then I'm like, what was that? Stop it.
Yeah.
And then I find myself doing it like if I didn't work out hard enough, or if I didn't like make the money that I thought I was going to hit, or whatever it is, I'm judging myself. And I'll always notice a pattern. It starts with me first. Once I beat myself up enough and I'm enough of a dish rag, then I start with everyone else around me. The closer you are, the more you get. I notice that about my partner. I notice that, that's what happens when you're in that place. We talked about like habits becoming, but it is a lot of where we come from, which I wouldn't say is Judaism.
Yeah.
You're going to think it's weird. I think it's any cult-like
Yeah.
groups.
Community, like really
Any
insular kind of
cult-like
community.
small groups where there's a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not conforming to the standard, you're gonna be judged.
Yeah.
Now, who created the judgment? We did. We did that to ourselves, So we talked about this last night at dinner because, like, my girlfriend doesn't like everything I wear, and I'm wild sometimes. I mean, not
I mean,
wild.
this is a 10 out of 10.
10 out of a million.
Leah
A
has
million
great
out of
style.
10.
Her girlfriend's more demure.
Demure.
Mindful.
Mindful.
Demure.
My girlfriend is very high fashion. She's high fashion, very high fashion.
No, she's
and
not.
No, see, so her
In taste,
clothing
yes.
are high fashion.
Companies,
All her
quality.
clothing is off runways and off like high end,
Simple, but
like all basic
Risa.
staples.
Okay.
But yeah. Well, you did already.
I can cut it.
Rava.
Rava.
that's the fictionalized name.
Rava.
Schmeva.
Rava.
It's about
So,
me.
as I've said, my book is fiction. But because I'm a chutzpahnik and because I really always take that risk, there are a lot of characters, and so if you're reading the book and you're going to be like, oh, I know this person, or it's Leah's ex or something like that, yes, there are characters and there are sex scenes and there are things that I sprinkled into the story that are pieces of experiences that I have, but that's what artists
I
do.
think we write what we know.
Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I love it.
yes, my partner was like, that's not fiction. That's our scene of this or whatever it is, because
She doesn't get it, Leah.
Yeah.
But wait, back to the judgmentalness.
so the judgmentalness.
Yeah.
So my partner and I do that, and I'll notice when she comes for herself, I stop it right then and there in its tracks, and she'll be like, oh, I really didn't look good yesterday. And I'll be like, you looked amazing, and I don't appreciate you talking about my girlfriend that way. I'll say that because I'm next.
Yeah, you know how that works.
Yes,
It's true. That's
it's
an
true.
internalized
It's true.
thing.
So it's a culty thing. It's when you're all expected to be the same and you're not.
Yeah.
You're,
I
I'll
don't
be
know what you were
really.
saying on Shabbos. You were saying when you go to shul. No, sorry.
No, go ahead, I
You were
talked enough.
saying I don't know if it's a culty thing. My thought is this:
Microphone.
when you would go on high holidays, which by the way we called Yom Kippur Jews. Yom Kippur Jews in Borough Park where I grew up. That's when
The goyim.
the shul. That's
The
when
goyim
that
came to
synagogue
shul.
and the temple would fill up. Yeah, but till then it wouldn't, and they would wear white. They would all wear white on Yom Kippur. It was like Yom Kippur Jews. But you were saying how it was devoid of, it wasn't about God. It was just about like, what was the word you used? About like being seen. And so I think it's a similar thing. It's about how showing up in a community and wanting to fit in becomes, that's the judgment.
Bingo. Part. So it's performance. Yes. So by the way, it's in every community. Yes. Jewish community, it's in the social media community, this
Queer
like
community.
Performance activism, this whatever, it's a performance. Yes. So like when I grew up, I went to a levaya as a young kid, which is a funeral. So what I saw, I talked about this on the Modi podcast actually, was that we were told, now you need to cry. Now the moment is where you need to cry. So even your emotions become, now I don't believe that's my community. Jews don't feel that way. Jews have emotions. They know how to cry. I believe it's very community based and very
it's about fitting in. We do this also when someone comes in and your grandpa comes in and you're like, give him a hug. It's also we're telling people how to use our bodies, how to feel, how to experience things.
Geb Zaidi a pussy.
Walk like a lady. My sister.
So in Yiddish, a pussy is a kiss.
Hungarian.
Oh,
so my father had a lisp, and he would say, "Give me 1,000 pussies."
My grandma would say,
and now you're gay.
It's cute.
Still waiting for my 72.
Yeah. Okay. So but judgment. I feel like I definitely have it inside myself, and I think a lot of it is my mom still says that. About like, she always says that we're like queens and we're like children of God, and God, we should dress like royalty. I mean, I'm wearing sweats.
So there's like high expectations.
For my mom, it's you have to look like royalty too. So like everything needs to be ironed, not also for the boys, right?
Biggled.
It's not just the girls.
Okay.
It's girls are the queens, yes. Yeah. But we're all like princesses and queens and kings. Like we're all supposed to be elegant. And for me, I think it's an idea of classy. Like things have to be classy, and otherwise it's prust, which is like it's sweet or
lewd. Lewd is the correct word. So, for example, last night when we went to the club, so Ray and I, like I can dance. Really I can dance, and you can take me out all night, and I will party, and I love to dance. I love to dance. I love to sing. So you put me in a place like that, I'm boo, boo, boo. But Melissa came out and was like physically upset.
I wasn't upset.
Not upset, but she was like, the music.
I was explaining what was feeling for me. I was like, they're impure.
They were impure.
And you can feel it.
And
I can feel it.
Beauty
and I can feel
that.
the sensation of it. They're using your senses to like put you into, and it's not, I get it. It's exciting. It puts you into a very physical space. But I like being in my physical and spiritual together, and I feel like I couldn't do that in the club, and that's what I was trying to explain. Not that there's judgment of people that do that. I think it's sexy. I think it's hot. I can't do it, and it makes me think of this rabbi.
In that club, we were not all fam.
In the club,
in the club, we are fam.
I love that Antonio and I were like, there's a rabbi.
Get me home.
There's a story of this rabbi who was having a hard time. Like his wife complained that he wasn't having sex with her. And he was trying.
The wife is the one complaining. Usually it's the other way around,
right?
Good.
And
women are horny too.
Women are horny too. And there was this. So somebody tried to intervene and talk to the guy, and he said, "I don't know how to have sex. Like I don't want to have sex like a guy, and I don't know how to have sex like a Jew." And I think what he meant is he couldn't combine the spiritual, his soul and his body. And it's a weird thing that I'm like a grown up right now experiencing that in a club. That was the language I was using to try to understand myself, because I've been trying to figure out what it is that drive. I'm consistently trying to figure out.
But can
how
I
push
back on that? I have a question for you.
Yes.
Can I be personal?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, it depends how personal.
Okay, you've been pretty open. You're a pretty sexual person.
I am a sexual person.
And how, you see, to me, I can go to the club and dance my ass off, but like I'm not comfortable sexually. Like I am sneeze sexually.
But you're Mr. Top.
Right, but I'm saying that I have to be in a relationship, and I don't just have random, and I have to have an intimate relationship with you, and it's like a safety thing, and it's a lot of things. That is sneeze. Even if I'm in a long-term relationship with someone, I still have modesty issues and have to work through my own stuff. So it's interesting because the music with my clothes on, there's no barrier to me. You're wearing clothes, I'm wearing clothes, you're dancing. There's tons of people here. I'm so safe. I can be as sexual as I want, and you can't do shit like I'm in public. So I can, and I do.
Ooh.
But yet, when I'm in private.
Yeah, you grinded on me last night.
And I can.
You
And,
guys
uh,
are
And then
just, like,
and then
in that.
I and then
to
I
me,
looked at
that's
Risa and I
like-
was like, I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry, Reva. I'm so sorry.
I feel like her and I were on the same thing. I was actually enjoying watching, and I was understanding how we use, how the sound, the music, the lights, all of that is engaging our senses to feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. I become curious, and I become like, I want to watch. And I feel my body. I'm very aware, but my brain is also like watching. I don't feel like I'm a part of it in the same way, but I'm witnessing humans. Like, it's interesting to me. I think for me, sexually, I am a sexual person. Sexually is, to me, it's love. To me, it's connection. It's intimacy. That part, unless I was dancing with somebody and also we were both really feeling it, that's when I would be okay. That's when it's like, oh, it's love and it's intimacy. But because the music is so loud and the lights are so loud, I feel like I'm not fully present. And so for me, sexually it's holy. It's not an unholy act. That's the thing. I want it to be connected to my spiritual. I sound woohoo when it's saying, but like,
no, but I'm saying,
right?
especially
I
as a
get it.
queer person, all the things. That's what I'm saying. It's also having sex with women that's so complicated for me.
Yeah.
So all of it makes me feel away. But going to a club or going to, like, I go to tons of ecstatic dance. That's one of my favorite
fun.
things.
Love
I'm
ecstatic
obsessed.
dance.
I go with my friends. We go on friend dates. Like Brittany and I, like, I love it. I love it because I let loose and it's so somatic for me. And it's also not sex. It's like there's language in ecstatic dance. So if somebody wants to come dance with you and they're interested, they make a motion. And if you're interested, you make a motion and you can go to another dance floor. But if you're not interested, you can do another motion and that person knows to walk away because you're in your zone. My experience at ecstatic dance has been almost no one approaches me because there are other people out there that are just like me on the dance floor. They're dancing in their own mind and they don't give a crap about anyone else. Clubs, you get the skeevy keevies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But not at the
I'll
Abbey.
be a lesbian.
Maybe a little at the Abbey, but not.
No, the Abbey's cool.
Yeah.
The Abbey's cool. I
At
love
queer
dancing with my
clubs.
gay boys.
Yeah.
They are amazing. I don't want them near me. I don't want any of the sweat near me. And also, why is it gay boys? I love you guys in the Abbey. Why don't they wear clothes? Women, we wear clothes. We wear extra
Sounds
clothes.
like it's such a Jewish
judgmental.
Where?
Where are the clothes?
I don't want to see
for
your
you-
nipples.
For me, I'm
Aren't
like,
you cold in there?
yeah. It's so funny because for you, it's about as long as you wear clothes, everything goes.
I sound like I'm 100.
I'm like, be naked. I'm like, I could be at a nude beach. I can, as long as the music, as long as you can feel your senses. If you're grounded and like, it's so interesting. For you, it's the clothes, and for me, those things. I think we're closest to ourselves without clothes. I think it's about performance that I have an issue with versus like the actual being in your, you know.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna wrap
We all
up
have some
this
judgment.
pod. We're gonna wrap
This
up this
episode.
episode of the pod. Thank you so much for being here, Yentas.
you for having
Patreon.com/Yenta.
Yep.
Leah Forster, Melissa Weisz.
Antonia
Antonia.
Star. This is going to come out in advance. If you're in Vancouver on November 30th, come to my show at JQT. It's going to be great.
Nice.
Buy my book, Club MILF. Go to my website, clubmilf.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Leah Forster. Buy my book. It's amazing.
Amazing. And look out for, some other stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
On Netflix
On
And
Netflix
HBO.
and
and whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Are
wait,
you
actually all of them.